What should happen with Neil Harris and his contract? That's one of our discussions on this week's episode of Where Lions Walk. We're also talking about whether Harris was responsible for that Oxford draw with his reliance on Bradshaw. We're talking also who should they sign in the January transfer window and who should be the Millwall Player of the Month for November. We're doing that, of course, with Callum and Charlie is back as well. Thank you very much, of course, for joining us as well. There's tons of Millwall content I'm sure that you watch, but this is 20 minutes every single week reviewing everything, all your tweets and all the controversies that go around it. And boy, this week there's been lots of chatter on social media about Neil Harris. Let's start with the Oxford game, first of all. If we get into that, Callum, the fans that went to Oxford said it was the worst away experience in terms of being a Millwall fan. Drones following fans into grounds, over-reliance on police, and dogs everywhere. It's not right, is it? Because I tell you what, I doubt the Preston fans got that 3 weeks ago.
Well, I wasn't there, but I heard this drone sort of thing from one of my mates that went, and I couldn't believe it, to be fair. So, it was kind of a shocker. I'm not surprised about the police with us lot, especially, them sort of away grounds like the Kassam. So that's not a surprise, really. But yeah, the drones was a bit surprising. But yeah, I mean, the game itself, I was quite disappointed, really. I think all Mill fans were very disappointed. I mean, you can see about that on social media. We dominated for the first half, got in front from Tanganga, which was a good header from a corner. And then, just second half, we just sat back. He obviously rang on Bradshaw, who we'll talk about later. And the fans were not happy, to say the least. Burn at full time. Just sat back in the second half, really. But yeah, it's just disappointing, really, because after we're still 9 unbeaten, which is a positive. But these are the sort of games that we should be winning. And, if we can't beat, not to disrespect to Oxford, but we should be beating Oxford. I think playoffs is not really a ideal. It's going to be, we've got to be positive, but if we want to get into the playoffs, we should be beating teams like Oxford and stuff like that. So it's disappointing.
Charlie, TT says Harris is a legend of the club, one of the biggest. He did wonders to keep us up last season. I believe he's been far better in terms of attacking output in this stint as a manager. However, he got it wrong on Saturday. We all make mistakes, own it and move on. Less positively was Barry, who said it's embarrassing. Harris playing dinosaurs and Honeyman, who doesn't do anything in every game, gets started. And this is his criticism, isn't it? That he has his favourites and is very stubborn in terms of changing it up. What's your view on it?
Yeah, I'd say that's definitely the result on Saturday was definitely on Harris. It was the first 45 minutes. We looked like we were going to dominate Oxford on Saturday. So it was when Coburn came off in the second half where we really saw that stubbornness from Harris. He brought on Bradshaw to replace Coburn, which to me, and I think to the 1,400 Millwall fans that were there, it made no sense. Because when you look at a profile of a player that Coburn was, I wouldn't even say he had his best game on Saturday, but how big he is, the profile of the player that he is, standing up front, getting a ball to him, his pace was causing Oxford problems. And Tom Bradshaw has none of them qualities, really. He doesn't have any pace. He's 5'5", and he's not going to get on the end of them balls that were being played through. When you've got, for example, Ivanovic on the bench, our new big Serbian, you'd think, why not bring him on? Or even Langstaff, who's got a bit of pace and has a record for scoring when there's balls going in the box. So, yeah, I think it brought a lot of frustration from the travelling fans that were there, which was seen at the end from the booing of Harris. And I think it was probably the quickest I've seen a away end turn, especially with the form that we're in. So I think it reflected a lot on his decision making.
Absolutely, and it goes to show, doesn't it? You've got one of the longest unbeaten runs in the Championship, and you're still not happy with a 1-1 away result. Let's bring Callum back in. Terry says Millwall were 10th. They're unbeaten in 9. They got the 6th best defence in the league. Better balls in the box today, and we would have had the game won by half time, and we would be 3 points off the playoffs with a game in hand. Harris has got to stop playing Bradshaw. Macaulay Langstaff and Mia deserve to start. Do you agree with all that, Callum?
Yeah, I just think that I don't. What the fact that the reason I don't understand that how he can play Bradshaw. And look, Bradshaw's been a brilliant servant for the football club. But his goal record in recent seasons, apart from when we narrowly missed out under Rowett, I think it was about 2 or 3 seasons ago, he scored double figures. I think it was 15 or 14. Apart from that, I think he hasn't played. He's been injured, and now he's basically second choice striker. Which blows my mind, really, when you've paid for Langstaff, who's scored over 70 goals in 2 seasons for Notts County, and you spend 3 million on a under a 19-year-old Serbian striker in Ivanovic, who is playing for Serbia's national team. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know what he's playing at the minute. I think it's really, really frustrating. And I can agree that the fans should rightly boo. We're all entitled to our opinions. I think Millwall Football Club, our fans, we are, as fans, very fickle. So, you know, people pay their money to go up and down the country. I mean, why not boo? It is quite difficult. I mean, I can't get my head around it, to be honest with you, Mark. It's baffling to me.
As a neutral, okay, Millwall have been starved of success for so many years. You've been, you know, League One, and you're a solid Championship club now, aren't you? And you're on the precipice of something really good this season, just a bit like Swansea actually are, who just a couple of results away from just being in that playoff conversation. And I suppose the frustration of knowing that you are that close to being something special this season just is boiling over into people perhaps forgetting where you were last season at this time of the year, which was fighting for your place in the league. Do you think people just need Charlie just to take a step back a bit and go, well, you know, we are not in that. I mean, look at the teams at the bottom. There's about 8 teams that could go down there, and Millwall is nowhere near it.
I think the frustrating thing for us at the moment is we've seen what we're capable of this season. So in the results of the Leeds and Burnley games, although we sat back against much better teams than us, you also look at the end of last season when we put, I think it was 3 past Coventry, 3 past, who was it? 3 past Cardiff, and I think we did similar this season against Sheffield Wednesday at home. I think it's like we have the quality there to go on and push forward. And this season, I'd say we have some of the best, especially attacking depth that I've seen at the club for a long, long time. And I don't know if it's something that's going on behind the scenes. Maybe the players aren't performing in training or something. But from what we've seen on the pitch, if you look at the game against Sunderland last week, the goal was linked up from a ball in by Ivanovic into Langstaff, who then played Ivanovic through. 2 players who came on impacted the game significantly. And Harris's comments during this week have been sort of saying that he doesn't think we have quality to impact off the bench, which I can't imagine how frustrating that must be for players like Ivanovic and Langstaff sitting there. It must be demoralising for them. So I think it's just very frustrating for us seeing that, knowing what we have.
Can I just jump in there? So what Charlie just said is exactly why Mill fans are frustrated. As what Charlie just said, you know, you look at the Sunderland game, for example, last weekend. Not last weekend, the weekend before that. And you look at the goal that we scored. You know, Langstaff gets the ball. Imaki gets the ball, plays it to Langstaff. Langstaff into Ivanovic. Then Imaki runs down the line and puts it to Aziz, and then he brings all these players on, and we get a draw, and Sunderland would have won that game. And then you look at the game on Saturday against Oxford, he's bringing on Bradshaw, and then you obviously Coburn's injured, but you don't bring on Imaku or Langstaff or Ivanovic. And to be fair though, we play, our under-21s played today against Watford, and Ivanovic has scored 2. So I mean that's probably Harris is probably in his office already tonight saying, oh, okay, he scored 2 goals against under-21s, but he's not giving him many games on the weekend, Mark. And it's just frustrating for us as fans. He can score goals, and he's moaning in his press match conferences saying, obviously we haven't got the killer instinct, but he needs to play these players. These players are good enough to score goals.
Right. This links into our second conversation we're having this week, which has come up about Neil Harris's contract, and I wonder whether the two conversations are somewhat directly linked. This is from Millwall halfway line. So let's name the elephant in the room. Why hasn't Harris been offered a contract extension? He's certainly earned one in my book. He's done an amazing job. As we approach the transfer window, this really needs to be sorted ASAP. Now, there were some replies to this, and which was good to read. Venom says, as much as we love Bomber and he's done an amazing job, I think the club want to take a different approach, especially with the young players and a manager to fit that build that will come into the summer. So, Charlie, is what we're seeing here. We've got a club who have given Neil Harris young players, Macaulay Langstaff, others, and they're seeing their manager stick them on a bench. And this is the reason why they aren't coming forward and saying, we'll have another 3 years. Because he isn't doing he isn't playing the players that they want him to play.
Yeah, I think that's the way to sum it up, really. I think Harris was brought in last season to steady us, to save us. And I think he's done that now. He sort of stabilised us back to where we were before. I'd say he left the club last time when Rowett first came into the team. We're that stabilised Championship club now. We've got that sort of foundations to now build upon. And I think if I was Jimmy Belson sitting in my office this weekend and I've seen that I've spent close to 4 or 5 million on these young players and Harris isn't utilising them, I'd be sort of wanting to knock on his door and say, like, what are you playing at? Like, especially for a club like Millwall, our record signing beforehand was just over 1 million. So, yeah, I think it would be causing some frustration upstairs, and that's what's ultimately going to give him the extension if he plays these players.
Yeah. Callum James says exactly Charlie's point there. You could argue that he deserves it on results. However, the board gave him Langstaff, a £3 million record signing, both of who he refuses to play in favour of Bradshaw and a loan player. Kelly's nowhere to be seen. He's going against the club's plans. I mean, from a neutral, it's harsh, but the Millwall faithful will be nodding their heads along with that comment, I'd imagine. Are you?
Do you know what? This debate is so two-sided for me, because for one, I think he deserves a contract extension based on the fact that he's a true legend of the club. And when Edwards left at the back end of last season, we was in the relegation battle, and he's basically taken us back to basics, got us up to 13th, and he deserved to stay on. Now, this season, he's done fantastically well with this group of players. He's got us to, 10th in the league or 9th in the league this season so far. But there's these little things that, he's not playing Ivanovic, he's not playing Langstaff when, Steve Gallen, the director of football, is, bringing in these players. And there's all this debate of whether Gallen's signing these players and Harris is maybe trying to make a statement to upstairs, whether he doesn't think they're able to play for Millwall, which could be another point to make. But listen, I think in general, I think he deserves a contract extension. But if he keeps doing this sort of stuff where he doesn't get, the players and puts the players on, then it's going to be difficult for sure.
Okay.
But I do think he should sign the contract. 100%. I still agree.
Okay. Cheers for that, Callum. Let us know what you think, of course, in the comments below. It's Coventry City then this weekend, and Frank Lampard's back in London, and he's bringing a friend with him. One Joe Edwards, for his first away game. Charlie, what's your abiding memory of those Joe Edwards times? Will he get a little ripple of applause?
From what I've seen on social media, I don't think so. I think a lot of people were actually planning on giving a bit of stick, which I mean, I suppose you could say the one benefit he did do for us is he brought Azeez and Tanganga to the club. So there's that. But I think he did nearly get us relegated last season, so he will be in for a bit of stick when he comes down on Saturday.
Okay. Final two questions then this week. We're talking about January transfer windows. Callum, give us the top position that needs sorting out for Millwall when that window opens in January.
Centre back, 100% for me. Obviously, at the minute we've got Tanganga suspended for the Coventry game. He picked up a yellow card on the weekend, so that's a massive blow for us. And you're looking at potentially having Murray Wallace or Wes Harding centre back, which for me is, we've spoke before about, the first two games of Akka and Tanganga conceding 7 goals. So I believe we need a centre back replacement, because the players that we've got at centre back as replacements on the bench, I don't think they're good enough to play in the Championship, personally.
Okay, Charlie.
Yeah, 100% centre back. If I had to name one off the top of my head, I'd say I'd seen that Southampton was saying Ronnie Edwards is available for loan in January. Yeah. So that would be the perfect replacement, but I think we'll be up for stiff competition with that. Apart from that, I'd maybe say a left back cover, because with Scanlon obviously back at Liverpool with his injury. So it's just to cover along that defence. I think we're really weak there. As Karen was saying, I think even Hutchinson's injured this week, so it could be a pair of Murray Wallace and Harding, which does quite scare me, to be honest.
Okay. That's our biggest downfall at the minute, I think, personally. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And finally, November Player of the Month then. Let's pick out the person that's impressed you the most. Charlie, you go first.
I think I'd have to go with Aziz. I think he's probably been the most improved player under us this month, and I'd say probably the one player who's shined out, even though Harris for some reason did drop him at one point, but I think he's proved himself a bit more this month, so I'd have to go with him.
Yeah, we wouldn't have said that in October, would we? No. Callum?
Yeah, Aziz is a great shout. I'm going to go for Jaffa Tanganga. He's just brilliant.
Okay. Let us know in the comments what you think. Listen, thank you, all of you, for your comments on Harris. We still love him, though, don't you? Even though we're frustrated by him.
Got love on him.
You're still a legend.
Yeah. A Neil Harris versus Frank Lampard game this weekend is going to be one for the purists, and I can just tell. Enjoy the game against Coventry. We'll, of course, be back in 7 days' time to review all of it. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Drop us comments below. We love to hear all your views, whether they're positive or negative. Keep them coming, and we'll see you in 7 days' time. Up the Lions.